I just want to thank you for speaking with me today. I just want to talk about voter access to help people get prepared for the election and know where their votes are going, because with COVID this year, it can be confusing for people. So I just wanted to clear it all up with you.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
you know that our primary goal is to ensure that each and every eligible U.S. citizen that's a resident of Alabama is registered to vote and has a photo ID. And we have made a concerted effort to ensure that that is indeed the case and that there are no problems, no obstacles for any of our voters in any part of the state. As a matter of fact, since January the 19th, 2015, which is 5 years, 7 months, and 28 days ago, we've registered 1,634,248 new voters. We now have a state record 3,648,834 registered voters in the state of Alabama. Per capita, no state in the union has done as much as we've done. And of course, those numbers are record-breaking numbers for the state of Alabama.
And I know this year, one of the biggest ways, obviously, voter access has been expanded is with anyone being able to fill out an absentee ballot. And I know you guys have already had a lot of absentee ballots and are expecting more. When you count those, I know they're not counted till election day. So what do you want people to know about how they're being safeguarded during that time and how they'll be counted?
Well, the main thing that people need to know, if they would rather vote in person, all 1,980 polling sites will be open on election day. But if they would prefer to vote in the privacy of their own home in a secure environment, they can vote absentee. I've actually invoked Title 17-11-3, which gives a universal excuse for all voters in our state to vote absentee. They'll mark the box that says I'm ill or infirmed and will be unable to appear at my polling site on election day. And with that being the case, then anyone can use that excuse and be able to vote for the candidate of their choice. Now, when they successfully submit their application and they get their, obviously they have to follow all directions. So in most instances, that means returning a copy of your valid photo ID. But you'll have a ballot returned to you to the address where you want it mailed. You complete your ballot, return it to the absentee election manager, and they will hold it to election day. And on election day, those ballots will be opened and then they will be processed. And those votes, the absentee votes, are the first votes that will be reported on election day.
Is there an actual way for people to know when their ballot is counted?
Yes, actually, all they have to do is to follow the tracking system that's online at alabamavotes.gov, which is the same place that you can register to vote, or the same place that you can download an absentee ballot or download a fillable PDF before you submit it.
And what are the most common mistakes you see specifically on absentee ballots with people turning them in? Like, why is a reason a ballot would be rejected?
Well, the most common mistakes are that people don't follow the directions. So if you read the directions and you follow the directions, then your ballot will be counted for the candidate of your choice. And if you don't follow the directions, you're putting yourself in a difficult position in order to make sure that your ballot is going to be counted the way that you intended for it to be counted.
And you have brought up having a valid photo ID. I know the voter photo ID law was upheld recently just a few months ago. So I want to make sure everybody knows that they do need to have a photo ID. But what are some of those options? And if someone doesn't have one, what should they do?
Well, there are 10 forms of ID that are acceptable as far as the law is concerned in Alabama. Those are all listed at alabamavotes.gov. If you don't have access to a computer, you can call our office at 334-242-7200. They will tell you what those options are. But if you don't have one of those items, when you check the list, you can contact our office or contact your local board of registrars, and we will make sure that you have a free ID made so you can vote and then your voice can be heard.
And on Twitter and social media, you've been using the slogan, easy to vote, hard to cheat. Can you tell me some more of the ways that you guys are enforcing that?
Well, absolutely. One of the things that we've done is we have introduced electronic poll books, and we'll have them in more than 60 of our 67 counties. Going into this cycle, we already had them in 35 of our counties. But the electronic poll book will reduce the wait time some 60 to 75% for all voters that go to the polls to vote in person. But it increases the election authenticity and accountability and transparency exponentially. So we're excited about having it introduced in all of our counties. Our initial goal was to have it in all 67 by 2022, but we're going to have it in just about every county on November the 3rd.
And for the people that do choose to go to vote in person, I know there are a lot of health precautions in place. There were for our municipal elections as well. But are there just as many polling places as, for example, the 2016 election, or are there less this year?
No, there are a few less, but that really doesn't matter because the people who are registered to vote know, and they've been notified where their polling place is. And those decisions are made at the local level. Now, if anyone has a question about where their polling place is, they should contact their local board of registrars. They could contact their circuit clerk or their probate judge, or they can go to alabamavotes.gov, put their information in on the icon where it says polling place, and it will tell them where they vote, what the times are, the address of the location where they need to go vote, and what races will be on their ballot at their polling place.
And I know you said it's a local decision, but do you know why there are less polling places this year and how many less there are?
I don't know exactly how many less there are. I do know how many we have statewide, which is 1,980, but I can tell you that nobody in the state of Alabama has to drive more than 5 miles to get to their polling place.
Okay. And on that note, poll workers, do you guys have enough poll workers this year?
We have enough poll workers, and we're excited that we have enough poll workers because of the emphasis that we placed on poll worker recruitment. We actually have been running a campaign, a multimedia campaign and social media campaign, encouraging people to become poll workers by making their wishes known to the local probate judge through our website or through other means that are defined on our website. We're making sure that people are aware of that. We also passed legislation in 2019 that has enabled students that are grades 10, 11, and 12, 16, 17, and 18-year-olds to be able to go to the polls and work the polls on election day. They can do everything except touch a ballot and determine the eligibility of a voter.
And I know you said you have enough right now, but are you still encouraging people to apply for it?
Yes. Any of your viewers that are interested in working the polls just simply need to contact their probate judge and they'll put them to work.
Okay. And then once the votes are all put in and you guys, it comes time to count them on election day. I know there's been a lot of talk at the national level about, we may not have clear results on election night.
Well, they're not talking about Alabama.
Yes.
Because I can assure you that Alabama will have the election returns posted on November the 3rd, and those will be unofficial returns as they always are. But you will know that when your voice was heard on November the 3rd, your vote was counted on November the 3rd, and you'll see who the winners are in all 67 counties across the board.
And that is because we are doing absentee voting and not universal mail-in voting, correct?
Well, that's one of the problems with universal vote by mail. And that's one of the reasons why we would be hesitant, even reluctant, to participate in something that does not treat all ballots the same.
And do you think that having anyone be able to apply for an absentee ballot does a similar thing for universal mail-in voting?
No, because anybody that has to vote absentee, we already know that they are a registered voter in our state. It's just another way for them to express their support for their candidate.
But I mean, it gives people the same opportunity, is what.
Well, they can vote by mail, or they can actually vote early. They can vote in person on a day prior to election day by visiting their circuit clerk or their absentee election manager, and that individual will take their application and then give them a ballot, and then they can vote that day.
And one big thing we've been focusing on at our station is, I guess, verifying any rumors that are on social media, or just making sure people know what's true and what's not true, because with social media, there's always a lot going around. Is there anything you've seen that you want people to know is true or not?
Well, the main thing that your viewers need to know is that the true trusted source for accurate voter information in Alabama is the Office of the Secretary of State. And if they have any questions, they can go to alabamavotes.gov, call our office at 334-242-7200, or call me on my cell at 334-328-2787. Sorry.
You're okay. Is there anything else you think is important for people to know about registering to vote, how their vote works, or just how polls are going to work this year?
I think that's the main thing. We just want to make sure that everyone's voice is heard and everyone's vote is counted, and we want everybody that's eligible to be a registered voter in our state.